San Francisco is a city with many iconic landmarks. You may have just heard me say the word San Francisco and already picture the Golden Gate Bridge. Equally iconic is the San Francisco cable car. Whether it was in Full House, Princess Diaries, or one of the many YouTube videos out there, chances are you've seen the cable car before. Our apartment is full of cable car souvenirs, all things that we found in thrift stores around the country. In May of 2023, Lindsay and I visited San Francisco for the first time. We had a great time seeing the sights, enjoying the food, and exploring the public transportation. But there was one thing above everything else that I knew for sure. I wasn't leaving without riding the cable car. Are you looking for the perfect holiday gift for that special someone in your life who loves trains? Do you love trains yourself, or do you want to support this channel over the holiday season? I'm so excited to announce that Trains Are Awesome has merch now. It's super easy to find. Either head to the store tab on our YouTube page or click the link in the description that takes you right to our store. For our first batch of merchandise, we have stickers, mugs, hoodies, and shirts. They feature trains from San Francisco, Chicago, Washington, D.C., the Netherlands, and Japan. And from now until Christmas Day, use promo code XMASTRAIN to receive 10% off your order. Now, back to today's feature. Hey everyone, welcome to a new Trains Are Awesome video. I'm Tom.
I'm Lindsay.
And we had the privilege of staying in an awesome place here in San Francisco, California. Let me quickly show you around. Our hostel was the Sonder Hostel, which we had booked online. The rates were very, very reasonable. We had a private room with a desk and bunk beds, and certainly the nicest bathroom I've ever seen in a hotel. The common spaces were comfortable as well, and the front desk staff was so friendly. We really liked this place because the price was reasonable, and although the space was small, it really gave us everything we needed. The hostel itself also had laundry facilities, a kitchen, and the friendliest staff we've ever met. The bunk beds were a blast from the past, but I gotta show you what my absolute favorite part of this place is. Of course, San Francisco is famous for its cable cars, but look at just how close we are to those cable cars. The location was the best thing about this place. In just 2 minutes, we were at the intersection of Powell and Market. Here, you can take the cable car, streetcar, metro, BART, and trolley buses. Wow. Today, Lindsay and I are riding the cable car, but first things first, we need to buy tickets. May I have 2 cable car one-way tickets, please? So I bought some tickets down at Powell Street. They're $8 for a one-way, which of course is really expensive. It's a tourist trap, but in my opinion, this one is worth it. However, the line down at Powell Street is really long, so we're just gonna have some fun and explore downtown San Francisco, and then we'll get on the cable car at a quieter spot. We decided to head to Fisherman's Wharf, taking the metro and the streetcar. Now, before we ride the cable car, let's talk about what the cable car even is and why it exists. San Francisco is a hilly city, and some of these hills are really, really steep. We were reminded of that after we tried walking up Lombard Street. Great leg workout, by the way. The earliest forms of public transportation in San Francisco, like most cities, were horse-drawn trams. The hills were not ideal for the horses. Of course, all that climbing is exhausting for the poor creatures. Horses frequently had to rest and be swapped out, and it was dangerous. The story goes that the inventor of the first cable car, a man named Andrew Smith Halliday, witnessed an accident involving some horses. I'll spare you the details, but suffice it to say, it inspired him to come up with an alternative. And so the idea for the cable car was born. Cable-hauled trains can be a great way to conquer steep slopes like the ones we see in San Francisco. One type of cable-hauled railway that we've covered on this channel before is the funicular. Funiculars are usually 2 vehicles that are attached to one cable. As one goes down, the other goes up. As the name suggests, the cable cars in San Francisco are also pulled by a cable. But regular funicular technology doesn't work here. the lines are much longer and can go both up and down a hill in a single trip. There are multiple stops and multiple vehicles, all who have to take traffic into account. If all vehicles were permanently attached to the same cable, one vehicle stopping for a light would mean all vehicles on the system would stop. Instead, San Francisco's cable cars have the ability to detach from the cable. Yes, really. So these are the cable car tracks, and you can actually hear the cable moving underneath the streets. The cable never stops moving, but sometimes the cars do. So how does that work? Underneath the streets, there are cables, several miles long, just continually moving at a pace of about 9.5 miles per hour. That's 15 kilometers per hour. The machines moving the cables are electric, though until 1926, there were steam-powered cables as well. In the middle of the tracks, there is this tiny gap. Attached to each cable car is a metal arm with a grip at the end that goes through the slit to reach the cable. When the car is stationary, the grip is open, but by pulling a lever inside the cable car, the grip holds onto the cable. That is how the cable moves the vehicle. The operator pulling the lever is also known as the grip. When the grip moves the lever back, the train detaches from the cable and just coasts. So how about stopping? Well, once the cable car has detached from the cable, the brakes have to be engaged. Each cable car always has two crew members. We just talked about the grip, but there is also a conductor who rides in the back. Aside from checking tickets, the conductor mainly helps out with braking. There are 3 braking systems. First, there are your regular metal brake shoes. The grip controls the brakes on the front wheels, while the conductor controls the brakes on the back wheels. The grip also has control over wooden brake blocks. Using a lever, he can press these down against the rails for extra braking power. Because they are made of wood, they are worn out easily, and they have to be replaced every few days. Finally, in case of emergencies, the grip can jam a piece of metal into the slit between the tracks. This is the most extreme form of braking and takes a long time to be removed. The grip and the conductor communicate to each other using a series of bells, which you will hear later once we are on board the cable car. Andrew Smith Halliday's original cable car opened in 1873. What followed was a mad dash to build cable car lines all over the city. By 1890, there were 23 lines. Believe it or not, these cable cars were commonplace around the country, even in cities with relatively flat terrain. Chicago, for example, had the largest cable car system in the entire world for a while. In Washington, D.C., if you walk through the Georgetown neighborhood, you can still see the remnants of cable car tracks preserved in some of the streets. So then, what makes San Francisco's system so special? Well, San Francisco's cable car was the world's first successful system. Multiple people had tried to implement similar technology during the 19th century, mostly in England and New York, but those all closed within just a few years. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, they've been running pretty much consistently for the 150 years since the first line opened. That wasn't always a guarantee, however. As electric trolleys and later the personal automobile were introduced, most of the cable car lines were closed. Shortly after World War II, the city wanted to close the last few remaining lines. Thankfully, the citizens of San Francisco stood up to the city and demanded the preservation of the cable car. In the 1980s, the lines were closed for several years to complete a thorough renovation and then reopened. Today, there are 3 lines: the Powell-Mason, Powell-Hyde, and California Street lines. The oldest of these, the California Street line, opened in 1878. This makes it the oldest remaining cable car line in the world. With San Francisco's cable car being the last remaining system in the world, it attracts a lot of tourists. Almost 15,000 a day to be exact. In some previous videos, I had mentioned that the cable cars were primarily for tourists. Some locals pushed back against that in the comments, saying that they regularly commuted by cable car. It's true, locals do use the cable cars. What helps is that they are included in the Muni Monthly Pass. However, they are not included in day passes, for example. Tourists, or anyone not in possession of a monthly pass, have to purchase separate tickets, like we did. These tickets start at $8 for a single ride, but as we're about to find out, it was so worth it. So the lines here at Fisherman's Wharf are actually way shorter, we've noticed. So we've had a fun morning getting up here, and now we're gonna get on the cable car. By the way, if you come up to Fisherman's Wharf, you also get a great view of the Golden Gate Bridge. We are on the Powell-Hyde line, the longest of the three, at 2.1 miles or 3.4 kilometers. Both the Powell-Hyde line and the Powell-Mason line, which share a common section at the other end, use monodirectional vehicles, meaning that they have to be turned around manually at each terminal, which looks kind of fun to do. We are officially on the San Francisco cable car. I cannot contain my excitement. Since the vehicles are not electrically powered in any way and solely rely on the cable to move, the lights on board are powered by a battery. As long as you're safe and responsible, they let you stand on the step and hang on to the cable car. This feeling was exhilarating. That smile is all real.
Are you having fun?
This is the coolest thing ever. I'm not one of those people who avoids tourist traps at all costs. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, things are popular for a reason. The cable car is one of those things. This is one of the most fun things that I've ever done.
You know what? That's on the California line. Yeah.
At the intersection with Mason Street, we join the Mason-Powell line. We will share tracks for the rest of the journey. Then, at California Street, we cross the California Street line over a diamond crossing. Oh, cool. Unfortunately here, we passed the site of an accident. Somebody had fallen off the cable car and emergency services were on their way.
Oh man, somebody fell off.
The incident suspended cable car service on the two lines for several hours. The cable car does have the highest number of accidents of any transit system in the US. I checked several local news stations but could not find any news as to whether or not the person was all right. Thank you so much. Now we're back at Powell Street, where this video began, one life experience richer. It's understandable but sad that other cities haven't preserved their cable cars. That's why I'm so grateful San Francisco has, and why I hope that despite the high operating cost, they'll continue to do so for generations to come. Like I mentioned earlier, on the Powell Mason and Powell Hyde lines, the cable cars are one directional, meaning here at the end of the line at Powell and Market Street, they have to be turned around. I wonder how heavy that is. Anyways, if you want my advice, do what we did, buy a ticket first, and then find a quieter spot to get on the cable car. It'll be more enjoyable than waiting in line, and you'll be able to maximize your time in San Francisco. In my experience, the terminals closer to Market Street get a lot busier than the other end of the line, so maybe try that. And if you're a regular commuter on the cable car, I would love to hear your story in the comments below. And with that, our short time in San Francisco has come to an end. What a great time we've had. Next week, we're taking a ride on Caltrain down to San Jose, and after that, it's back on Amtrak. Come along for the ride. Subscribe to Trains Are Awesome. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.